You're listening to Winnipeg's Classic 107. My name is Simon Rusnak. This weekend, the 2023 E-Gray winner, McKenzie Warriner, returns to Manitoba for an intimate recital in her old stomping grounds. The Saskatchewan-born soprano, currently based in Toronto, is a rising star in the field of contemporary music, and she performs in Eva Clare Hall at the University of Manitoba, where she completed an undergraduate degree in vocal performance in 2018. Joining me virtually is McKenzie now. Welcome to Classic 107.
Thanks so much. I'm so happy to talk to you.
Well, congrats on your success in the 2023 E-Gray competition.
Thank you. It's been a wonderful year with that competition.
So we're going to chat about that in just a bit. But first, let's talk about you, and more specifically, growing up in Alameda, Saskatchewan, just north of the U.S. border, east of Estevan, south down Highway 9, I think, from Yorkton. Paint us a picture. What was it like growing up there?
Well, I grew up actually on a farm just north of Alameda, and Alameda is about 300 people. So, you know, it's it's definitely different than where I live now in Toronto. And I music wasn't just around generally, at least when I was growing up there. It's gotten significantly better, but my school didn't have a band program, it didn't have a choral program. My mom, when I was a child, was the music teacher in the area for quite a lot of kids, but she was actually just a self-taught musician herself. So I but I have always loved to sing, and so I always sought out opportunities to sing, and I eventually started going to Estevan, like about an hour drive, just for voice and piano lessons, and then it eventually got to the point in high school where that wasn't enough, and I needed to find teachers who could keep me advancing, so I started going to Weyburn and Regina, eventually like 250 kilometers each way, and I it's sometimes like what would have happened if I had just been exposed to a lot more music when I was a kid. But I don't know. I'm also really grateful for my small town upbringing and just having a bigger sense of what the world is instead of just this really specific area of classical music.
That's a wild story. I mean, also the fact that you were traveling like 250 kilometers for
Yeah.
lessons. I mean, like you just must be so thankful and appreciative for that opportunity. I can only imagine what that commute was like.
Yeah.
Were you singing in the car? Like, what did you do?
Um, Actually, you know what? Those drives were great. When you live in small town Saskatchewan, you just get used to driving for everything, whether you're a hockey family or, just to pretty much do anything, you need to travel at least 100 kilometers. I think, yeah, the closest like Walmart and to us was 100 kilometers away in Estevan. So you're just used to driving, but I don't know. My mom was the one who came with me a lot of the time, and we had a lot of fun. We'd like listen to podcasts and like eat. We had our traditions for the food we'd eat every week, and we actually really enjoyed ourselves. Those were some really happy memories, actually, those weekly trips for music lessons.
Well, clearly those early musical years served you well. You made the move to Winnipeg to study at the Desautels Faculty of Music, as I mentioned, graduating in 2018 before a master's degree at the prestigious Eastman School. What is abundantly clear, McKenzie, in reading your bio is the passion you have for all things music, and you've sort of alluded to this already. I mentioned you're a rising star in the contemporary music world, but you're also a seasoned performer of Baroque repertoire and have performed in a variety of opera roles. To what do you attribute that sort of wide-ranging success that you've had early in your career?
Well, honestly, the Desautels Faculty of Music really set me up for success, I feel. It's a really nurturing environment where you can do a lot of things. I was singing contemporary music with Dead of Winter and attending all the Winnipeg New Music Festival shows, which really inspired me, and I still consider like, you know, one of the highlights of Canadian contemporary music. With my lessons with Mel Braun, my teacher, I sang all sorts of Baroque repertoire. I got to do opera scenes. Like it, U of M is just such a good school for getting just a taste of everything in such a small and yeah, nurturing environment. And then honestly, some more of the same at Eastman. It's a much bigger pond, but Eastman's a really great school in that regard too, where I was in the opera scenes, I was singing Bach cantatas, I got to work with some composers on some pieces there, and yeah, I've just been really lucky to be at schools where they really encourage their students just not to be siloed in one thing.
Well, clearly you've found success in the new music world. As I mentioned, winning top prize at the 46th Eckhardt-Gramatté National Music Competition held back in May. How's it feel to be an E-Gray winner, one of the most important annual contemporary music competitions in the country?
It's it's incredible. I mean, I first heard about the competition when I moved to Winnipeg in 2014, and I didn't really know everything that was out there with contemporary music at that point, but I thought it sounded really cool and was like, "Oh, I think I'm gonna apply someday." And from that point on, I don't know, I've just sort of found my way in the field of contemporary music, and I sing everything, but new music is really, I think, where my heart lies and what I am most passionate about. So just getting the chance to come back to the prairies and sing the music that brings me the most joy, and then now on the tour getting to sing it across Canada, it's absolutely incredible. I feel so lucky.
You mentioned the tour. So, as part of the top prize winner, you were awarded $6,000, and you're also in the midst of this cross country tour over October and the month of November. What's that experience been like so far?
It's been great. I mean, I'm excited to come home for the Prairie Leg for shows in Regina and Winnipeg and Brandon to just to bring that music back to home turf. But I mean, I've gotten to sing in BC and Alberta and a bunch of places in Ontario thus far, and every audience has been so different yet so receptive to the kind of music that we were bringing, which you don't always hear about with new music. Like you often hear about people like shying away from that kind of thing, but I don't know, in my experience people have been really open to what we've been offering, and it's just been so much fun. I mean, my pianist Danielle Ganache, she's one of my best friends. We were roommates and collaborators at Eastman, and it's been so fun touring with her. I've also been touring with my fiance Tristan Zaba, who has been recording all the concerts for us, and it's been great. I mean, it's been busy. I've had a few other shows going on concurrently with the tour, but those are done now, so I can just roll into the prairies and enjoy myself for these last few.
So I was looking at the program that you performed in your final, and it featured music of Philippe Leroux and Thomas Addis and Danica Loren and others, including the commission work by Keith Hamill. I'm wondering if we can talk about the etudes for a dying race. This, as you mentioned, work by Tristan Zaba, your fiance. Can you tell us a little bit more about the work itself? And it's also work that you just recorded, right?
Yes, we just released it with pianist Paul Williamson, who
Who's
is
great.
Winnipeg based.
Yeah. Who's
Yes,
no stranger to the show, that's for sure.
yes. So we just released that album in October. But Etudes is a really special cycle to me because it has a lot of Winnipeg roots actually, and it's been in development over many years. After Tristan and I had been dating for just a few months, Mel Braun suggested I ask him to write me a song. And so I did. And Tristan wrote sort of the earliest version of the second movement of the cycle. And I'll be honest, like, he was a second year composer. It left something to be desired. But as he grew as a composer, he decided he wanted to flesh it out into a full cycle, which I then performed at his graduating recital from U of M. But then he decided after that that he still wanted to keep working on it. So he revised it, and a few years later, it was actually the revised version was premiered not by me, but by somebody else at the Source Song Festival in Minneapolis. So I finally got to perform it myself at the Eckhardt-Gramatté competition, and yeah, I get to perform it on this tour, and it's just this piece that has really seen a lot and is just really special to my heart. And I think it's a pretty good piece of music personally, and yeah.
Yeah. High praise indeed. McKenzie, it's been great catching up with you. Like you say, I mean, you spent 4 years here. You were no stranger to the Winnipeg community. I imagine a number of people have seen you perform with Dead of Winter, perhaps, at the Winnipeg New Music Festival. You're going to be giving a intimate solo recital coming up this Sunday, 7 p.m. in Eva Claire Hall at the University of Manitoba. Tickets range in price from $11 to $23. Thanks so much for joining me, and safe travels to town.
Thank you so much.